Don't move. Hello, I'm Patrick Childress. This is third in the series, Tips from the Pros. And in just a minute, we'll get with Hank Schmidt from Offshore Passage Opportunities and see how he dealt with his whale strike. The whale strike that you saw at the beginning of this video happened to my wife Rebecca and I while we're sailing on our sailboat Brickhouse off the coast of Madagascar. Fortunately, it was a small whale and it was a glancing blow, so I'm sure he went away very well unharmed. There have been sea survival stories, though, about whales sinking sailboats, and two of those books happened in the Pacific west of Panama, and those people had to take to the life raft and spent months drifting around on the ocean until they were rescued. In one book, definitely the whale was out to sink the boat. The other situation, it's questionable. So it's rare, it seems like, but it does happen, and whale strikes can be a problem. The second time I've had a whale strike was when I was delivering a Swan 48 from Bermuda to Rhode Island. And we were well out of the ocean, deep water, and into about 200 feet of water coming up on the banks off the coast of Rhode Island. And that's when, on this pleasant day, full main, full jib, we're sailing along, and all of a sudden the boat just sort of lurched forward, as though the keel was digging into a mud bank, and we came to a stop. Sails were full, you look over the side, no water is moving past the boat. It was the strangest thing. And then all of a sudden the boat lurched again and the bow picked up and we started sailing and getting speed on. One crew happened to be watching behind the boat and did see a whale come up and then disappear. So these things do happen. Fortunately, it isn't always a catastrophe like those sea survival stories. But it is something to be concerned about. There is a possibility of maybe operating the stereo or running some kind of acoustics to let whales know that you're coming. You think that they have great senses, but somehow sailboats do sneak up on them. So let's get with Hank and see how he dealt with his whale encounter.
Hello, I'm Hank Schmidt, captain of the Swan 48 Avocation. We're here in beautiful Huntington, Long Island, but 6 weeks ago, coming back from Bermuda, we were in between Bermuda, closer to New Jersey, and we actually had our first whale strike at night. We knew it was a whale because when we did hit, we did fall forward, but it wasn't like hitting a container or a log where you just stopped instantly. And after we got up, took a look, and by the time we said, "What was that?" I just looked over my shoulder and there we saw the whale. So of course, whale strike, first thing you want to do is check and make sure you're not taking any water on, checking keel bolts and through hulls for your transducers. So that's something we'll do in a few minutes. Another thing that you might want to do is also check underneath to see what the bottom looks like, because as you'll see, we didn't have any damage down below, but you still want to go down below and check and see if there's any damage to the keel or the forward part of the boat. We were not worried. We knew we weren't sinking. We also want to go in the water and take a look. And while we're doing that, we're also going to take a look at the bottom of the boat. But first, we'll go below and take a look where the keel bolts are and the transducers that you'd want to take a look at first. And we get out our trusty tool. To get our access, we want to check our keel bolts, our transducers, get everything out of the way. On Swans, we have the suction cup to open up the floorboards. To our through bolts right here, our bilge pump, we would see any water that might be coming in from another compartment. But as we can see, of course, it's dry here. So that's very good. Keel is nice and secure. So your bilge and your keel bolts right here, you have access to the center of the boat. Your keel bolts, of course, is what you attach your keel to. So if you did have any damage from hitting something, you would see some cracking, some looseness, hopefully not any water ingress. But everything's certainly super tight here, no issues at all. Other places where you would look for ingress would be the transducers for both your depth sounder and your speedo, because they protrude a little bit, and certainly hitting a whale or another object could open up a place for water to come in. And then after that, it might be through hulls that you check as well. But the big thing is just to see if you have any water coming back from any part of the boat, so then you can get an idea if water is coming in which direction. After 250,000 miles, we had our first whale strike. Eventually, things catch up to you. So it was still very cold up in New York, so we waited till we returned to Bermuda to go ahead and check. And of course, we were very wondering what things look like below. So we're gonna jump in the water and take a look and see what the bottom looks like.
Thank you, Hank, for all that great information. The two books that I referred to at the beginning of this video are Survive the Savage Sea, which was published in 1973 about the Robertson family, spending 38 days in a dinghy after their boat was sunk by a whale. The other book is 117 Days Adrift, about the ordeal of Maurice and Marilyn Bailey after their boat was sunk. That book was published in 1974. Of course, we have all seen whales that breach and accidentally come down on a sailboat, but can that really be intentional? But even a simple collision between a sailboat and a whale can certainly leave a boat very damaged, especially if it knocks out the rudder. It does seem, though, that there's an increase of collisions between sailboats and whales, and there's two good possible reasons for this. One is whale conservation and the increased numbers of whales. But then, too, there's a big increase of cruising sailboats passing through whale territory. So why don't whales just get out of the way, whether a ship or a sailboat? There is speculation that whales, being the biggest thing in the ocean, they grow up never having to change course for anything. They just don't know to move. Our collision with the young humpback whale at the beginning of this video is a very good example of that. That whale could have easily avoided us, but it chose not to. That might have been a very good learning experience for that young whale, that not all large rounded things in the ocean are as soft and friendly as mother. That learning experience just might save its life one day. One would think that a whale should hear the approach of a sailboat. Apparently it is a very noisy ocean down there, and becoming more noisy with the increase of ships, fishing boats, and all sorts of surface craft, but also military submarines. Maybe in some extremely noisy areas close to civilization, the whale might not hear the vessel coming. However, it could be well worthwhile for a sailboat in whale territory to create noise by playing the stereo, which can be heard through the hull. Turn on the depth sounder, especially one of the new Raymarine depth sounders that uses a sweep of frequencies, not just the standard 50 or 200 kilohertz. Or even turn on the engine. A diesel engine is very noisy underwater. When in whale territory, it would be good to slow down. In some whale feeding areas, ships are restricted to a speed of no more than 10 knots. Many sailboats would be fortunate to go that fast, but the slower the better, to give whales in the sailboat more opportunity to avoid each other. Know before you sail if your boat will be in a whale traffic area. Subscribe to whale alerts for your particular area. Unfortunately, these are concentrated in the USA, but a Google for something like whale tracking in South Africa should give you some information to be aware of. Try to travel during the day so you can see whales on the surface better. Some whale species spend a lot of time at night resting on the surface. Finally, as if that wasn't bad enough, in their migrations and search for food, Many whales spend much of their lives in precisely those waters that are the most dangerous for them, often frequenting both commercial shipping lanes and recreational hotspots, taking the same route that migrating cruisers follow. So keep a good lookout, make a lot of noise, and try not to hit any whales. If this video was worthwhile for you, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button. That will be a big help. And in the video description, there is a link to the tip jar if you don't mind helping out in that direction. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you soon.